So when we're talking about this, I mean, I want to focus on the kind of the content automation part because that's something that everybody's looking at. You know, for me personally, I've had the joy, sometimes not the joy, of working with hands-on, kind of boots on the ground with things like Marketo, ExactTarget, and HubSpot, kind of some of the bigger players. And some of the things I've found is you almost wonder at what point do we actually let sales get involved? You know, that to me is kind of one of the tough things. We say, okay, we're creating all this content, we're walking people through the journey. You know, the journey is something we hear about so much at this point in time. What point from a marketing perspective do you think sales should actually get involved?
I think it's a good idea to bring them in as early as possible. Like, you've got to realize that sales are dealing with people face to face, over the phone. You know, they're having discussions. They understand really what the queries are, the concerns are, what the strategies are to express the value proposition to be able to get a sale. So, you know, marketing can't really work in isolation when they're doing things like content marketing and strategy. You want to be able to discuss with sales, get their input, see what, you know, really will work there. So I think there's value in bringing sales in earlier. Never mind when you're actually going to hand it off to them. I think there's also obviously an evolution of roles, whereas, you know, there might be things that sales can do directly within certain channels, like be involved in social media. You know, there's stats from IBM that, you know, if you have leads developed over sort of like a trusted relationship with salespeople over social media, they're 7 times more likely to convert. So again, they're good on that one-to-one. So there is a role evolution there for sales rather than just being there by a phone.
Do you think, Bruce, that sales should be brought in early? I mean, one thing I will say, having gone through that process, to me, when you bring sales in really early, think of not necessarily maybe a technology company, but think of just a standard small product, water bottles. Not you're selling water to grocery stores or things like that. What I found is that the sales team almost became aggravated bringing in too early because they felt they're not in the process yet. They don't understand what they want. They don't understand what they need. What do you think about that? Do you think it should be earlier?
Right. And I think it comes down to time, right? Time and resources. And I think salespeople don't want to be chasing, on wild goose chases, right? Be like, okay, well, marketing thinks this is a great account to get in, and you spend 2 months and it's nothing, right? It turns out to be nothing. So I think there's a lot to be said also for sales being too close to the situation, or maybe the motivations between each, where marketing wants to go more educational and let's work with these campaigns we have, and sometimes they see sales as a roadblock to some of the campaigns they have. So there's time and resources all kind of woven into it. So I think bringing in sales, I think early to at least have the conversations and set up the ground rules of when to bring in sales is what you have to do.
Well, I think that's probably it. Reiki, I'll kind of turn to you on this one. It's about the kind of communication beforehand, not necessarily reaching out to folks, right? So Keith, what do you think? Is it the communication kind of setting up, hey, this is the campaign, here's what we're running, here's how things are kind of trending, here's when I need you to come into play? Or is it truly, now we kind of want you involved in that conversation beforehand?
Yeah, I think it's on multiple levels. I think really, first of all, you need to get a strategic alignment between sales and marketing and what KPIs they're working to together as opposed to separate KPIs. So if sales is very short-term focused because they're trying to meet, quarterly or monthly sales targets, they're going to be less inclined to give marketing attention because marketing is often focused on mid to longer term engagement. So I think it's how do you find alignment between those two groups so that they're being evaluated on metrics that make sense to the company as a whole versus sort of departmentally.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Vince?
Well, I think there's an illusion among people in sales and marketing that they can control the sales process, and you can't. I think it's the customer that gets to decide, not us, when it's time to engage. A long time ago, it used to be that we had more control, but now in the new digital economy, that's just not the case. I mean, they're going to go out to the website, they're going to do their homework, they're going to become a more informed buyer. And for us to go and interrupt the process, before they're ready, I think is an intrusion. And I think that you can be over aggressive and chase away your customer. So I really think that it's the customer that controls that. And, sales and marketing have to work together to understand where that typical inflection point is. And once they understand that, they can kind of get a better grasp on where the pipeline is going and what steps they want to do next. I think what marketing automation brings to it is the ability to have insight into what the customer is doing. And by understanding what the customer is doing, you can kind of tailor to try to help bring them the horse to water so you can get them to drink.
So I want to kind of stick with you on that. You mentioned the technology side of it, right? The automation part. The one thing in my experience, it could be single, but I've kind of seen it at a few different companies now. The marketing automation part of it, it seems like sometimes the sales teams are a little apprehensive with it. Is marketing automation, we want it to be a friend, right? We want it to be a friend. Everybody wants marketing automation to be the friend. But sometimes the sales team looks at it as the foe, right? They look at it, they're a little standoffish with it. Why is that, do you think?
I think it's because it's new, and I think it's about they still want to have control of the process. But it's really a friend. It's a friend, and it's a way to nurture the customer to get them to be at a point where they're at a point, where they are actually ready to buy. And I think it's just a matter of time before they kind of come on board. And I think the way that works is by working together. If you work together between marketing and sales, they really should be one. I think you're going to be more effective. And I just think that's where it's at now.
Keith, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think if sales is involved in defining the marketing automation programs so that it fits how they see the closing the sales cycle happens, then they have more engagement in it and will be more supportive of it. I think when marketing implements it and then all of a sudden, leads are flowing through to sales with not a lot of context about why they're there or how they got there, that's where sort of problems start to happen.
Michael, you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I agree with Keith. I think, the issue
He's doing good. He's earning that paycheck today.
Issue for sales, possibly with marketing automation, is you have this weird autonomous beast that sends you over so many different apparent leads. And if there's not really an alignment there between marketing and sales as to what that criteria is, then they're going to get stressed by the fact that they're being expected to act on what they really think are not well qualified leads. So they both have to agree on that so that they feel confident that what they're being sent by this automated system is worth acting on.
And that's one thing to kind of note. I remember in one case, this is kind of sharing a personal story. I remember the marketing team, I've always been on kind of the content creation, content development team, but the marketing team underneath this one company's umbrella, they had purchased said content automation piece. There was kind of no talk. They basically just kind of told sales that this is going to solve all your problems. You're going to know everything that you need to know about your leads, right? You're going to know what businesses they're in. We're going to know more about their IP addresses than ever. That's what they were literally telling them. And I'm sitting there like, I don't think that's how it works, but good luck to you.